How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Tuesday, 30th of July, 2024. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a moment and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on X, smash that heart. If you're
Switched it
over
up on
on
me.
Pill, take that red pill. And remember, sharing is caring, and we love each and every one of you.
Very much so. Yeah.
And let's start saying hi.
What's up, F. Clan? Yeah, there was a big chat today.
Yeah.
Lots of chatting. Yeah, Aaron's not eating, or F. Clan's not eating the grubs today there, Aaron. What's up, Aaron?
I know I saw Bill in here.
Yeah, well, there was a long conversation. We were having a conversation. What's up, brother Bill?
There's
There's
Chachi.
Chachi. What's up, Chachi? Hey, Chachi.
There's Miss Jan.
There's Jan. Graham Jam. Or Graham Jan. Graham. Graham Jam. Yeah. Y'all should see her face. She's not amused. All right. Yes. Who's the chat? Anyway, I hope everybody's having a good day today. It's kind of a busy news day. There was some things going on, but nothing too spectacular today. It's still July though, so it's strange as ever. But yeah, we should be getting to that here sooner or later. My grandkids couldn't say Jan, but could say jam. Oh, okay. There we go. Graham Jam. All right, I get it. It's all right. I couldn't say it either.
Exactly. And we have White Spear over on Pilled. And
what's up, Light
Bethany
Spear?
Ann.
Bethany Ann. Thank you for both joining us. And of course, Bethany Ann, she's always there to help us out. It's amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful Bethany Ann.
All right. So why don't we just go ahead and dive right in?
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
The numbers you need to understand. Yale University released a study last week by 3 researchers, all of them liberal, I believe, who concluded that the actual number of illegal aliens in this country is not 11 million, it's north of 22 million. 22 million. Fact 1. Fact 2. The Democratic Party is now, as a matter of policy, calling for the legalization of all illegals in this country, citizenship voting rights. 22 million new voters. Fact 3. The overwhelming majority of first-time immigrant voters vote Democrat. Fact 4. The largest margin in American presidential history was 17 million votes, 1984 election between Mondale and Reagan.
And Reagan, yeah.
17 million. You would add to our voter rolls 22 million, at least, permanent electoral majority in perpetuity. That's what this is about. It's not about making the country better, serving our labor needs, helping the population. It's about putting Democrats in power forever. That is the truth of our immigration debate, period.
Thoughts?
So 22 million new voters is what they've been importing. But we've been saying this for a long time. We've been pointing it out. We've even shown the videos where they say that that they're being told to vote for Biden. So yeah, no big surprise. And then the fact that the biggest gap that's ever happened has been 17 million votes. That kind of adds something a little bit different to it. But I don't think that they're going to have the ability to change, because it's up to Congress to make sure that that happens, that they can let all of these new voters in. I just can't see a mass amnesty like that, nor do I see the American public accepting that as well. Certainly not a large majority, not even a majority of the nation is going to be willing to accept 22 million new people that they know that are basically Kamala voters. We got to start calling them Kamala voters now. Yeah, I know. Awful. Ugh.
Speaking of that, witch. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The U.S. is experiencing record inflation, the worst in 30 years, way beyond expectations. OPEC didn't increase oil production. Can you tell us a little bit about how you would prevent the new spending in your Build Back Better agenda from exacerbating the problem? And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up. That's about having to stress and stretch limited resources. That's about a source of stress for families that is not only economic, but is on a daily level, something that is a heavy weight to carry. So it is something that we take very seriously. But there is also a point that is important to make on the Build Back Better framework. One, it is designed to make it less expensive for working people to live. It was specifically designed to bring down the costs of childcare and increase accessibility and availability. Designed to bring down the cost of elder care. And make it available to all those working families that need that support and need that help. And Build Back Better is not going to cost anything. We're paying for it.
You caca poo poo.
Wow.
Thoughts? By the way, Brother Vic, we're so glad
What's up,
that
Brother Vic?
you're here.
Yeah.
Hopefully you come on the show again soon.
Be nice to have you again, man. There's Tracy. Hey, Tracy. And then we got Steph and Steven here too.
Yes.
What's going on? How's it going, everybody? All
Love
right.
you all.
So, yeah, the Kamala Harris boys really know that we're going to be in safe hands with that one, huh? Yeah, that's yeah, that was very sad, Jan. It's
Hope.
hey, Hope. Thanks for joining.
See, he is here. He's here.
Right
Brother
there.
Vic is here.
Right there.
Yeah, I know. It is mind blowing. And people actually like her.
What? Well, I don't understand what they like. Obviously,
I mean,
they don't
all
care about.
68 that showed up at her Pennsylvania rally today.
Yeah. So it's Kamala is not a genius. Kamala is. I mean, obviously, people that support her don't care about policies or anything like that. And granted, that was during the Build Back Better, but it looks like they still have that plan on the WhiteHouse.gov. So there's a possibility that she might stick with that. I look forward to her giving us some kind of an answer. At least we know that the Build Back Better plan is a straight up WEF kind of thing. But they've been kind of pulling away some, and they've been changing their course for quite some time now. They mean, what was it? Even when they were at Davos, Mr. Banker dude, Jamie Dimon,
Jamie Dimon.
he was even talking about, laying off of the attacks on Trump. It's only making their case worse, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm not mistaken, he probably is WEF, but I'm not exactly sure. But I think once you go to Davos, you're kind of in the main club that kind of communicates all the ways that they're going to be doing things. So obviously, Kamala doesn't really know anything about policy and how to make this country better, other than to point out, thanks for encapsulating our pain, heifer. Would you mind coming up with something of value that people might actually want to vote for you for? But she just doesn't have that. That's not her skill set. I believe her skill set is a different one.
Hills up.
Well, I mean, Vegas is hiring.
I know.
I'm sure
Well,
Penthouse would like to
here
put her
you
on
go.
the cover or something.
Let's go with this one.
Okay.
It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. And since we didn't start in the same place, some folks might need more. Equitable distribution. giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. So there's a big difference between equality and equity. Equality suggests often everybody should get the same thing. Well, that often assumes everybody started out in the same place, as opposed to equity, which is everyone should end up in the same place. And if you then understand not everybody started out in the same place, you understand some people need more. So we all end up in the same place, right? We are proud of the fact that equity is one of our guiding principles. Proud of the fact that we understand equality is important, but not everybody starts out on the same base. We see that people in our country are having an experience that is not equal. So when we talk about the work we are doing here together, it is recognizing that and being guided by this principle of what we must do in the spirit and in the interest of equity. To put equity firmly at the center of our economic policy. But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit Black children, Black families, Black homeowners.
And she's not Black.
Hey, you know what? But she cares. She cares to put him in jail like she's always done. But that's a separate thing
She's
altogether.
Indian.
She's a Marxist. That's very
Mhm.
clear.
Yes.
And it's a difficult conversation to have with somebody who has that concept in their head. But even in Marxism, there's not equal outcomes. Like, she doesn't even understand Marxism. That's just fantasy world. And that's kind of the point, is that she has absolutely no clue about anything. You can't give people equal outcomes.
Well,
And I wish that, you could explain that to people, but it can't happen that way.
I know how she got through law school. I can tell you that.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
Not that kind of Indian, F. Clint.
No, no, different kind, other side of the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a big pond of water in between. And how do you talk to somebody who believes in equal outcomes? I mean, you really can't. There's really no way to show people. And not only that, every time, Marxism has been tried, it's failed. And that includes this country. We have been trying Marxism for quite some time. And it started a lot longer than most people are willing to give it credit for. And I'm going to say that's when FDR was president, and Social Security and all of the things that he was doing, because he was doing price controls. He was doing all sorts of things that the Supreme Court ended up shutting down. Jan says, calling Trump a dictator, which is what they have and are being. I do want Trump to be a strong dictator. He would be doing it for the people instead of for himself. I'm good with it. Time to take the gloves off. So I just laugh at the dictator statement. Yeah, and that's the thing is it's not like Trump is even trying to be a dictator. He may have had some, or he may be using some powers that people will see as dictatorial for a period of time. But that's just in order to clean out the insurrection and the usurpation of the government away from the people and to give it back to the people. So, yeah, I think that when they talk about dictators, yeah, they're talking about themselves in the mirror, 100%. Yeah, good one, F. Glenn. Hey, Tracy.
No, Bethany Ann's all over the place, making sure everyone knows how
oh.
much she loves them all.
Hope says, I think she's an actor in a mask. And
Mhm.
I would actually have to agree with you at this point in time. Kay and I, our bet is on Stacey Dash.
Yes.
Yeah, Stacey Dash is our guess that the actor would be in that one. Haven't heard of her in a long time, but I think that she would certainly fit the bill. And she was a pretty good actor back in the day. So, oh, Tracy, I already said hi to Tracy. Anyways, um, you think it might be a he in a mask, Fire and 8? Yeah, I mean, possibly. Who knows? Who knows anymore?
I agree with Aaron.
She's just in it for the special sauce. Yeah, we're devolving.
Okay. How about some Kelly then?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's cut our losses before we go to Kelly.
All right, let's go.
All right.
Good question today. What have you been hiding? What is it that you've been holding on to and keeping in your life that you know shouldn't be there? Can you think of that thing right now that you know you're holding on to, but nobody else knows? You see, the truth of the matter is, the secrets that we hide in our life are like seeds that you plant. And what happens when you plant a seed? It grows. You see, that's why David says in Psalms 119, verse 11, I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. You see, David realized something that most of us never do. What you hide in your life, you will see more of in your life. So with that in mind, let me show you something in the Bible you may have never seen before. In Joshua 2 and in Joshua 7, we find two people who have hidden something. In Joshua 2, you have Rahab, and her people are an enemy of God. Not to mention, she's a lady of the night. She's a sinner. You know, she's one of those girls your mama warned you about, and she lives in Jericho. What do we know about Jericho? That's easy, Kelly. That's the place where they marched around the walls and they fell. Yeah, absolutely. But did you also know that was the first battle of the Israelites entering into their promised land? So before they take the land, they send spies in to check it out. And Rahab decides to help these spies by hiding them on her roof. And she tells the spies, we are all living in fear of you because we saw your God split the Red Sea. She told the spies, I know your God is real, and I will help you by hiding you here. And all I ask in return is that your God, the one true God, spares me and my family. Do you see what's happening here? Rahab is making a choice to hide the Lord in her heart. She's saying, despite what my friends are doing, despite what my family thinks, no matter the cost, I choose God over everything. And we know what happens, right? God causes the walls to fall. Jericho is handed over to Israel. And Rahab, her and her family, was completely spared. And it's all because of what she chose to hide. Now, as amazing as that story is, let's fast forward to Joshua 7 and look at the flip side. You see, in that battle of Jericho, one of the Israelites, you know, the guys on God's team, one of these men was named Achan. And when they went to take Jericho, Achan and all of the other soldiers were told, everything in Jericho must be destroyed. We will take nothing. But I guess Achan must have been a little hard of hearing, because after the walls fell and he's walking through some dead dude's house, he sees a really nice robe. Man, that would look good on me. He sees some silver coins. My wife's been wanting to put in a pool. That would cover it. And then he sees a gold bar. Oh, I've always wanted one of those. And wouldn't you know it, Achan took those things. Not only did he take them, but then he went and hid them, burying them underneath his tent. And guess what happened to Achan as soon as he hid these things? Nothing. Achan went against the Lord's command, stole these things and hid them under his tent. And it seems like he got away with it. You see, those things that you're hiding in your life that you feel like are not causing any damage, it's not causing any harm to me or anyone else. What I want you to remember is it's not causing any harm yet. You see, after the Battle of Jericho, there's about to be another fight. Now the Israelites have to go and fight Ai. But hey, that's no big deal at all. If Jericho was like New York City, Ai is like Kingfisher. Oh, what's that? You never heard of Kingfisher? That's because that's where I live. You know, me and like 500 other people. The point is, this is going to be easy, son. But that's not what happens at all. The Israelites go against Ai, which should be a nothing fight at all. And Ai kicks their butt. The Israelites have to retreat. And Joshua goes and asks God, what happened? And God tells Joshua, one of your men disobeyed me. And because of what he's hidden, I can't bless you. You see, at first, when Achan took those things, it seemed like nothing bad was going to happen. But the truth was, because Achan went against the Lord and hid things that the Lord commanded him not to, there was and there will always be repercussions to that. And because he hid the wrong things, not only did it cost him dearly, everyone around him as well. So what's God going to do? Tell Joshua it was Achan, go get him? Not quite. You see, God does tell Joshua what happened, but he doesn't mention Achan by name. He tells Joshua which tribe this person is in. So Joshua asks if anyone wants to repent. Achan doesn't say a word. So God narrows it down even further. Joshua asks, anyone want to repent? Achan stays silent. God narrows it down again. Joshua asks, you want to repent? Achan. Until finally God reveals it was Achan. And then what happens? They stone Achan's entire family to death. But here's what I want you to see. Achan had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to repent, to say, God, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. I hid the wrong things. God gave Achan time, because what God wants more than anything is redemption. And he's given you time today too. But don't miss the end of the story. Just because you have time today doesn't mean you will tomorrow. You see, because of what Achan chose to hide in his life, the lineage of his family ended right there. You see, the secrets that you keep affect more people than you. Achan's entire family lost everything because of what he hid. But what about Rahab? What ended up happening to her? Oh, I'm so glad you asked. You see, Rahab ended up marrying one of those two spies she hid. And they had a son named Boaz, who had a son named Obed, who had a son named Jesse, who had a son named David. You might know him better as King David. And if you want to keep going down that family line, you are going to run headfirst straight into Jesus Christ. Oh, son, that's good. Are you following me here? Because of what Rahab decided to hide. You know, this woman that was far from God, who everyone said you have no purpose, you have wasted your life. She said, I don't care what anyone thinks, and I'm choosing to hide the Lord in my heart. And because of that, God honored her. So much so, in fact, he put her in the lineage of Jesus. Yeah, Jesus' great-great-great-great-grandma was a hooker, and you thought God couldn't use you. God's looking for people that want to hide him and his word in their heart. He doesn't care about what you've done. He doesn't care about what your family line looks like, because the truth is, good or bad, what you do in secret today will determine your tomorrow. Look, let's get real for a minute. The only reason we hide anything in our lives is because we feel it brings value. We feel like we need it. So let's break that down for a minute. When you choose to hide anything in your life that is not God and his word, what you're really saying is, God, this has more value to me than you do. God, there are areas in my life you're not meeting the need, so I need this instead. But let me shine some light on that for you today. What the world has to offer you will never even compare to what God has for you. You see, all sin is you trying to fulfill a need in your life without going to God to get it. But remember what David said in Psalms 119? I have hidden your word in my heart so that I might not sin against you. You see, when you hide God's word in your heart, you will soon come to realize there's nothing better. So let me encourage you today. Examine your heart. What have you been hiding? Because secrets are a seed that you plant, and what you plant will grow. So hide his word in your heart today. It's the most valuable thing that there is. And think about that for a minute. Hey, if this message...
Love Kelly.
Thoughts, Santino?
Okay. First things first, Aaron, we love you, brother. And my heart and prayers go out to you. And then I'll go back through the chats, and then, we'll connect later. Anyways, so the lies.
Just send him your phone number on Telegram.
Yeah, I'll send him that. So it's obviously we shouldn't be hiding things. The point is I mean, obviously we've made some mistakes in the past. That's understandable. We need to come clean with those. We need to make sure that we are open and that we're doing the best we can. And then by living by the path that's set forth in the Bible, we don't have any reason to hide anything moving forward. In the end, that's kind of the goal as to where we're supposed to be trying to go, is that we live a blameless life. But understanding that we're human beings, we're going to make mistakes. We have to accept responsibility for those mistakes, and we have to, try to make amends, and we have to try to move forward. We have to do our part. But that sin will eat you up from the inside out. It is awful to hide things, and it's counter to everything, and it prevents us from getting to the places that we need to be. So we need to just try to live our life in a way that, as if we're under a microscope and we're being watched, and we need to understand that. And once we live that way, it does make it a little bit easier to walk that path. the path that is set forth. And so, really, it's kind of it's not that difficult of a concept, but once we're living for the Lord, it does get much easier. And just merely accepting the fact that you're a human being a lot of the times is one of the biggest challenges. Yes, I'm human. I make mistakes. So does everybody else on this planet. There was only one perfect person, and they didn't let him stick around for very long. So, I mean, there's that.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
Are we
Miss
ready?
Tammy,
Hey, Tammy.
how are you?
So,
You ready?
yeah. Hey, Tammy.
Ready. So it's been
Well, sure. My question is, why don't you relieve everybody of duty who made bad judgment? So, yeah, you're right. I am zeroing in on somebody. I'm trying to find somebody who's accountable here.
And we
So
will,
you're telling me that the person who made the decision not to include this in the perimeter has not been relieved of duty? What about the person who's in charge of the interoperability of radio frequencies between local law enforcement and Secret Service? Has that person been relieved of duty?
no, Senator, because interoperability is a challenge, is a greater challenge than just one person. On that day, we had a counterpart system. It failed.
As the person
spectacularly.
who made the decision to send Donald Trump onto stage, knowing that you had a security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir, they haven't.
Has the
because-
person who decided not to pull the former president off of stage when you knew that, in your words, the locals were working a serious security situation, has that person been relieved of duty?
No, sir. Again, I refer you back to my original answer that we are investigating this through a mission assurance. And as opposed to zeroing in on one,
What more do
or
you need
two
to
individuals,
investigate
we
to
wanna find out
know?
exactly what the
What more do you
decision-making
need to
process was.
investigate to know that there were critical enough failures that some individuals ought to be held accountable? I mean, what more do you need to know?
What I need to know is exactly what happened, and I need my investigators to do their job. And I
A lot
cannot,
of people didn't do their
I cannot
jobs.
put my thumb on the scale. Otherwise,
What do you mean put your thumb on
the
the scale?
objective, you're asking me, Senator, to completely make a rush to judgment about somebody failing. I acknowledge this was a failure of the
Is it
Secret
not
Service.
prima facie that somebody has failed? A former president was
Sir,
shot.
Sir, this could have been our Texas school book depository. I have lost sleep over that for the last 17 days,
Then
just like you
fire
have.
somebody to
And I will
hold them
tell you,
accountable.
Senator, that I will not rush to judgment, that people will be held accountable, and I will do so with integrity and not rush to judgment and put
I
people
can't believe
unfairly
that you are
persecuted.
unfairly persecuted. We've got
Unfairly,
people
sir,
who are
we
dead.
have to be able to have a proper investigation into this, Senator.
You said earlier that you've got to make sure that your protocols are followed, and unless there's a protocol violation, people wouldn't be disciplined. I would just say to you, I don't really care that much about your protocols. I think if your protocols don't provide for the fact that when a former president is shot, when an American is killed, when other rally goers, innocent people who just showed up on the day, when they are shot at and critically wounded, if that isn't a protocol violation prima facie, you should revise your protocols.
Senator, I think this is where you and I agree. This was a failure, and we will get to the bottom of it.
Well, I hope you're going to do something about it.
thoughts, Santino.
So this guy took a shellacking today, and some of it was, I mean, he wasn't the director of Secret Service at the time, but he's obviously he's obviously kind of thrown in the limelight at this point, and he has enough knowledge. He was much more forthcoming about the information that he was providing, and I think that that's a great help. But at the same time, some of the questions were questions that he might not have been able to answer, but he got the grilling that the other lady should have got. But he also had some moments there, a lot of moments, being kind here, where he didn't pass on information that he probably should have known. And he pointed out it's been 17 days since the whole assassination attempt occurred. But there should be quite a bit of information. And I am curious, if nothing else, why people aren't suspended pending an investigation, especially those who were in charge of various parts and pieces. And it may be, it's probably not just a political thing. It's going to be something that is going to be necessary to put that faith and confidence back into the Secret Service, especially considering how it looked to the people who are watching.
Right. And not only Hallie, but Senator Kennedy.
Hmm.
And I know Senator Cruz also.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
there was a good one there
I
too.
don't
Senator
have
Cruz.
that one, but here we go.
Yeah.
With, everyone's favorite senator.
Ooh.
Deputy Director of the FBI, is that correct?
Yes, Senator.
Is there any doubt in your mind or in the collective mind of the FBI that President Trump was shot in the ear by a bullet fired by the assassin Crooks?
Senator, there is absolutely no doubt in the FBI's mind
It wasn't.
whether former President Trump was hit with a bullet and wounded in the ear. No doubt, there never has been.
Okay.
I've been part of this investigation since the very beginning, and that has never been raised.
You're sure?
Yes,
It wasn't a space laser.
no,
It wasn't a murder hornet.
absolutely not.
It wasn't Sasquatch.
No, Senator.
It was a bullet
It was a bullet, Senator.
fired
100%.
by Crooks
Yes, sir.
that hit President Trump in the ear and almost killed him.
100%, Senator.
Okay, glad we cleared that up.
I'm sorry it wasn't loud. I couldn't get it to go any louder.
Yeah, it's sometimes, and I have the volume. I've just left it turned all the way up. So yeah, the volume, we have no more control over it than what we've applied to that. So apologies for that not being loud enough, but I'm sure that we can go ahead and try to get that video in the Telegram chat, tonight sometime. So
Tracy doesn't have Telegram,
Oh.
but if she'll follow me on TikTok, I'll forward it to her there.
there we go. All right. So that helps out. And her handle there is USMC wife _K on TikTok. Easy peasy. And then I'm Gitmo _Marine.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways. So I'm glad that Senator Kennedy pointed out that it was a bullet from Homeboy's rifle. Jenny!
Jenny, watch out for the frogs, Jenny.
Just got home an hour ago. Oh my God. You still need time to vacation from the vacation.
Yes.
I know you're still tired from the
But-
vacay.
But know that we love you and have missed you.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we have missed you. Anyway, so, it's an important answer. And it was one of those ones that he wasn't dancing around it like we always see in these congressional hearings where people try to dance around the truth. This one was unequivocally, it came from a bullet from that rifle,
Mhm.
from Crooks's rifle, the end. Because I know that is one of the problems with the news not providing the proper and truthful information.
Right.
Oh, you got off the next 2 days? That'll work out. Anyways, so where was I going?
Crooks.
Yeah. So since the press doesn't put out real information, since they're not putting the truth out, people are
They're
subject to go to
hiding it.
well, yeah, people are subject to go out and go look for any and all information that makes sense to them at that point in time and automatically accepting whatever they see as the truth, just like they were accepting whatever the press said was the truth. And so that's going to create the glass fragment, because I remember that was something that came out right off the bat. Because I even remember after 9/11, there was a lot of conflicting stories coming out about that as well until the narrative got set. But the thing is everybody knows about Crooks. I've noticed that there's a lot less conversation about the blotch that was moving, and it appeared that there was some kind of a flash that came from the top of the water tower. But our focus seems to be getting pushed toward this Crooks guy and cleaning house over in the Secret Service from the problems. But they're still like trying to identify the problems. It was based off of the questioning that I'm seeing. And that's kind of a real problem, because I think that one of the things that I heard the acting director say today is that he was he's still waiting for the investigation, and he was very adamant about not trying to push the investigation forward and get a bad kind of report that was just done for political means. So I'm glad he's sticking to his guns on that one, and I think that that's very important, and that can be very difficult with the kind of pressure that all of these senators can bring to bear on somebody that's trying to answer these questions. But the good thing is that the man is trying to answer the questions. And then let's see. One of the other problems that came up is that our last video about the assassination attempt. Okay, so this.
Well, from that, but yeah, we have other things.
Okay, do you have anything about the guy from Gab? Gab?
No.
It's some kind of it's another online something or other. Anyways, so the owner of Gab, a social media site, talking about Andrew Torba, I guess is his name.
Yeah.
He owns Gab, and he is showing basically, here is the request for the emergency disclosure request about Crooks. And then he's going, and then he talked about, he even posted in his next post on Twitter where the FBI was saying that he has all these conservative things about it. And then Andrew Torba comes out and he starts talking about what was really on there, and that it was completely a fabrication of what they were saying about Crooks. And so these are the things that are creating more and more problems. And again, it's Andrew Torba on X, Torba, if y'all are interested. And then I'll see if we can't I'll try to post that over on our Telegram channel as well. And then I'm sure that stuff is going to be coming out about that here real soon. Anyways, all over TikTok.
Right. And then did you have the information that Cruz was talking about that we were listening to earlier? Or do you want to just put that in the Telegram channel?
So yeah, actually that one was just a video on Liberty Daily, and it's kind of out there. The information is out there in terms of the, Senator Cruz grilling the acting director of the Secret Service. Thank you very much, Aaron, for that donation. We are truly appreciative, man. Andrew Torba, Gab founder, founded in 2016, very extreme loads of racist and FBI patsy scouters and loads of free people discussing things they have noticed. Okay. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be kind of a free speech kind of thing too.
I think I have a Gab account, but I don't
I think I have one.
I
don't think I've ever gone on it.
I think I've gone there twice.
Yeah, I just
didn't know
I
how
don't do
to
social.
work it.
Yeah, well, I don't do social media to begin with, so the last thing I need is another social media that I'm not going to do. But it's the good news here is that this is another social media site owner that's trying to tell the truth, and he put it out on there on X, which to get more information out to the public. And I think that that's great because it shows that Crooks was not a conservative anything. And then
Oh no.
well,
I
and,
do have information on him in a little bit.
Okay.
So
okay, but
more stuff.
so what he basically said, long story short, is that the FBI accused him of being anti-immigration, yet his what he posted on his Gab account was in line with Biden's immigration policy. So it's all pro Biden. It's pro Biden, pro Biden, pro Biden. There's nothing pro Trump on there whatsoever. And that's kind of another thing that the FBI has really been having some difficult times with, is differentiating between a Republican or a Trump supporter and a Biden supporter. And I would hope that their investigative skills get a little bit better than that moving forward, because that's not going to look good in the future. It's not a good look for an investigation bureau. Bethany, Chop says Andrew Torba released the Gab activity. FBI said Crooks was anti-Semitic, but refused to say what social media company. They did refuse to say that. So Andrew Torba just shared the information, and he was very open and honest about that as well, which kind of goes back to what Kelly was saying, because everybody's trying to tell the we're seeing who the truth tellers are, and they're putting that information out there. They're giving all of the information, be it positive or negative, towards whatever part they had to play in it. And I think that that's something that's truly driving the truth forward. It's taken a lot of courage to do stuff like this, especially for people who have big, companies
Right.
that they could easily have attacked by the very swamp that is trying to keep this lie alive, so that way they don't get Trump in office, because they know what the end result is. Aaron says, I'd rather hang at a coffee shop face to face with humans in person. And I would too. I prefer, I'm the same way. I love that face to face interaction, and it makes it difficult here on the interwebs. But here we are, so we do what we can. Aaron says, at Santino and K, the founder of Gab told the EU to get effed when he was asked to censor public posts by individuals on the social media platform. It's a Facebook for free people. There you go. Andrew Torba is Orthodox Christian, if I remember correctly. That's interesting, Aaron. Huh. And then Bill says Gab has many good patriotic Christians, and they are 100% free speech, which is why the feds and fake news paint it as a Nazi site.
But they're also
Okay, that makes sense.
charging now, so.
Oh, are they charging?
Yeah, they're
Okay.
charging.
Well, I mean, free
So.
speech ain't free.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you ready?
Yep.
You are chosen, you are saved, you are the righteousness of God, but you're depressed. You're praying to God that He releases you from this depression. You're waiting on God to respond to your prayers. The truth is, God is waiting on you to respond to the finished work of Jesus that's on the inside of you. The power that's on the inside of you, that you have the same spirit on the inside of you that Jesus had in Him. Your entire Christian walk will be learning how to release what you have on the inside of you. Let me show you this in Scripture, Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20. Now to Him who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. Us is you. We have the power on the inside of us to change our circumstance. See, a lot of times we view God as the power source, and we're praying to Him like He's going to drop down an extension cord and plug into you and give you power to overcome something or change a circumstance. Well, we're more like solar panels. We're self-contained. We have the power on the inside of us. Let me show you again in Scripture when it comes specifically to depression. James chapter 4, verse 7. Resist the devil and he will flee. See, you're not praying to God to get the devil off your back. You're not praying on God to intervene with the devil. God is telling you to resist the devil and he will flee. Well, how does that happen? According to the power that worketh in you. You see where I'm going with this? You have the power in you. You have the authority in you. The greatest survival tool that you'll ever have as a Christian is the Word of God. Getting the Word of God on the inside of you to be able to counter life with Scripture, to be able to counter the devil with Scripture. You are a supernatural being serving a supernatural God.
All right.
Thoughts?
We have
That
the
was
power
pretty
within us.
deep.
Yeah, it is pretty deep. We do have the power within us. And Kay and I have been having discussions about this as well, because sometimes it seems like these outside influences can be a little too influencing, and they can, kind of bring our vibrational frequency down. Oops, talking while Italian. Anyway, so
We're used to it. It's okay.
yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, I'm like forgetting where the microphone is. But anyway, so it's it's up to us, and that can be some of the most difficult things to face when we're in the middle of all of this. But at the same time, we have to recognize that whatever we see happening is separate from us as a person. And if it's not affecting us like directly in terms of physically, the mental or emotional, we have to be in control of our emotions, see all the Stoic references that we've made, and those line up with the Bible as well. Let your heart not be troubled. And it shouldn't be troubled because we recognize that whatever is happening in that moment. And it doesn't mean that whatever is happening is going to happen forever. It may be something that hurts at that point in time, and it may be difficult to get over because we put our heart there, and people have a tendency to trample on our heart whenever we put it out there, and it gets to be very difficult. And I believe that it's on us to say, okay, that upsets me. I recognize that it upsets me, but 2, I also recognize that I am going to make some changes in my life that will prevent these kinds of things from occurring. 1, 2, the other thing is why does that upset me? Why does it upset me that, so-and-so person did ABC? And so does that say anything about me? It says, sometimes it might say that you're a good person and people take advantage of that. So it says that you're gullible. And so it means that we need to be less gullible. But it's difficult to do. I can tell you because I'm a gullible person. If you, really wanted to know, just go check out the definition for gullible and my face is there. It is. Yeah, it really is.
You're ridiculous.
I'm not ridiculous. Go check it out.
He's fibbing.
I'm not fibbing. Just finding out if you're gullible. Anyway, so I know that I have a lot of problems with gullibility. I get got all the time, and it's kind of pitiful, but hey, whatever. The thing is I'm still going to live the way I am, and I'm not going to change myself to a cynical person simply because I don't like the way other people do things. It just means that I need to, again, adjust my sails. I can't change the winds, so I have to adjust my sails. This is how people are. This is how people are in this day and age. So I try to remain in my peaceful, centered state. And really, that can be some of the biggest challenges, to stay in that centered and peaceful state. But that's also our goal, because that means that we have that faith that everything will be fine. I can't imagine how difficult it was for Yeshua to remain centered as he was getting flogged and put up on a crucifix when, he knew this whole thing all along. So it's kind of one of those things where how fast can you run to the cross and recognize, okay, this is a bad thing, but it's not as bad as it could be. Thank God Yeshua was there to save me from my, reactions that I would have in response to some of these other things. I'm hoping that makes some sense.
It does.
Okay.
It does. Okay, so I have sassy, so earmuffs, but the earmuffs are warranted.
They're
this
warranted.
time.
It's sassy.
Ready?
Yep.
So we're just going to pretend the problem in the world right now is guns and not fucking people. Yeah, baby, we're going there with it. Since another child has died this morning, failed by the system that couldn't protect them, with all the bans that have ever banned. One of the worst mass stabbings in UK's recent fucking history. Figured y'all might want to have this conversation again. 11 children were stabbed. For you dumb fucks, that's almost a dozen. And a Swiftie-themed elementary dance. Now 3 of them's dead this morning. Ages 6 to 10. Stabbed by a 17-year-old motherfucker. Wait to hear more about that fuck nugget. Probably wasn't hugged by his mommy. And sees a kangaroo, goes by Zer Zer. I mean, why not? Everybody's fucking insane. Taylor Swift's tore all to hell because the theme was Taylor Swift. Oh my God, nobody cares. Taylor, you need to go back to writing shitty music. Title your next album, Songs of the Lying Liberal. Shut up, nobody care about you. Go bake Joe Biden some more fucking cookies. Bake Heels Up Harris a pecker cake. Eat her fish taco. Fuck, everybody else has. Fix Heels Up Harris a triple thick shake. She can swallow that hot to a hairball. I'm so sick of these celebrities chiming in like you might give a fuck what they think. They be condemning people, sending thoughts and prayers for gun violence. And it's funny, when a bunch of kids get stabbed, they be doing the same damn shit. What, Taylor? No political brownies to ban all fucking knives? Maybe you all will finally see. But it's hard to see in the dark with your whole ass big head shoved up Biden Harris's ass. Joe or Kamala would fart, they'd blow Taylor off stage, straight into her next album. You couldn't shake off the skid mark. Violence is a people problem, not an object problem. UK's banned all guns. They banned 5011 knives now. Banning machetes this summer. They call knife crime in the UK now a national crisis. 2 adults couldn't take this stabber down before he stabbed almost a dozen children. You know what would have took down knife-wielding Wilson? Right there. If a chaperone or somebody there would have been packing a gun, he might have hurt 1, maybe 2, but he would have never had time to get to 11. Guarantee you it was 2 women couldn't take down 1 man. That sounds about right. You see how the gun is the equalizer? You see how you can't protect children with bullshit bans? I don't care what fucking country you're in. Bitch, you can ban all toothbrushes. I'm still going to find a way to brush my teeth. You can ban all forks. I'm still going to find a way to eat with one. Y'all can ban all day. You are never going to ban enough inanimate objects that nobody can ever not harm somebody. Includes a mass group of people. Are y'all fucking stupid? The UK, especially London, is bad up there with the machete killers of South Africa. That just screams fucking safe, don't it? Somebody approach me with a knife, I tell you this. They'd be bringing a knife to a gunfight. They may shank me, but they gonna walk away like Sleepy motherfucking Hollow, headless horseman. Won't stab nobody else because their eyeballs be laying on the ground. That shit's on period.
Thoughts, Santino.
He's awfully sassy,
Right, yeah.
but it's kind of in his name. All right. So, how many times have the gun-toting and Bible-clinging Republicans said
Pew-pews.
we're on our way to test the limits of some of these social media channels to see if we can stay on, huh? All right. So, how many times have those pew-pew-toting, Bible-clinging Americans been saying you can ban the pew-pews, but it's not going to make a bit of difference? You know, then you'll have to ban knives, just like they do over in the UK. And of course, we've seen that they have what's code for stabbing. Are we there yet?
I don't think so.
Are we there yet? Anyways, so this is yet another thing to show people that these laws don't fix anything. You cannot legislate morality. Morality cannot be legislated. You can only cut. There we go. I meant cut. Yeah. God, let's not give them any ideas, F. Clint. By the way, Agent Smith, we appreciate you not passing that little note on. Thanks.
Yeah.
Watch out, he's got a spork. Good one, Bill. Anyways, so it shows the ridiculousness, and I actually do worry about everybody over there in the UK because they've been overrun. They've had their ability to defend themselves taken away, and they have some kind of royal family that does some royally weird shit over there, and I don't know how many of them actually care for that. Yeah, I got a box of number 2 pencils.
And Santino can tell you that he has used one to stab a kid.
Well, it was in the ankle. And in my defense, it was 2nd grade. He wouldn't stop kicking my chair, and I gave him fair warning. I said, if you keep kicking my chair, I'm going to take this pencil and insert it in your ankle. Although I told him I was going to stab him in the ankle with a pencil, and then he kept on kicking my chair. So that's what I did. Whatever. I was in 2nd grade. It seemed pretty clear cut to me.
Yeah.
Do this and this, play stupid games.
Win stupid prizes.
And he even knew what the stupid prize was going to be. And then I got the paddle because they used to do that in school back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like it wasn't.
F. Clint's on fire today.
Pokey poke. Yeah. There we go. Can we say that one? Yeah, I guess we can say that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pokey poke as opposed to the hokey pokey.
There you go.
Okay.
You ready?
Gosh. Yes.
I know. It's so ridiculous.
It's how ridiculous they make us sound.
I know.
It's their fault we sound ridiculous.
I know.
All right.
Let's go.
All right.
Welcome to the Night Fan News. We try to get straight to the point.
We were supposed to get a face-to-face briefing with the Secret Service snipers whenever they arrived, and that never happened. So I think that was probably a pivotal point where I started thinking things were wrong, because that never happened. And we had no communication with the Secret Service.
You had no communication with the Secret Service at all on that Saturday.
Not until after the shooting.
And by then,
It was too late.
Hold on. Oh, I don't know. You're cops, and there were people screaming at you from the ground saying, "Hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun, active shooter." You guys did jack. Nuh-uh. What do you call this and that before the shooting happened? You guys were on the ground. Let's not forget Colonel Parris's congressional testimony saying that you guys went up to the roof and the assailant pointed his barrel at you, and y'all still did nothing. Not to mention the timeline we had. There was plenty of time to establish communications with Secret Service, and none of y'all did anything. You stood by and let it happen. I don't care.
where did all 8 bullets go? Is I guess my question.
On top of that, had the rifles involved in the situation been confiscated? Out of those 8 rounds recovered, how many of them belong to the shooter? Where's the rifling?
I don't have that in front of me. I'm happy to circle back and get that to you.
Imagine getting Jen Psaki after 13 days of investigation.
It's assuming we have that information yet.
The shooting happened on the 13th. It's been 2 weeks. You hope you have that information?
As I said, I think with respect to former President Trump, there's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear.
Geez, Director Ray, how many times are you going to lie in front of Congress and have to retract your statements in public? Womp.
So it's conceivable, although as I say here right now, I don't know whether that bullet, in addition to causing the grazing, could have also landed somewhere else.
What will be the end all be all of this entire investigation? All teams involved in the Overwatch and security, have their rifles been recovered? Have the riflings of those barrels been matched and discarded or confirmed against the 8 or 9 rounds recovered of the shooting? How many of those rounds belong to the shooter? How many of those rounds belong to somebody else? And out of the ballistics forensics that you can check, how many of those rounds have been thumbprinted against somebody else's rifle compared to the shooter? That's how we find out who's directly involved and who's responsible.
The very first one was the one that hit the president. Is that the very first shot, or is that not accurate? I don't, as I sit here right now, I don't know the answer to that. I believe we know the answer to that. I just don't have it in front of me. Okay.
If you had that information, why don't you bring it to your congressional hearing 16 days after the fact? They're investigating themselves. They're going to drag their feet until the people forget. I had this initially wrapped up in the first 5 minutes, but Trump survived. Now you're scrambling to find answers. Tell me I'm wrong.
Thoughts?
I think Chachi got it right. Ray plays the scarecrow very well.
I only had a
If I
brain.
only had a brain. Yeah, I know. He's probably the most adept out of all that they have left, especially now that they keep on dropping for some reason, dropping out, letting go. It's amazing. So exactly, Jenny, liar, pants on fire. Everything about that dude is just a lie. At least we got some good information out of the acting director of the Secret Service today. Some of the answers, but do we expect anything less from Ray? I mean, the guy is just he's a brick wall that he's not going to let any information that's worth knowing out. And I think that he hit some great points in his video when he was talking about the fact that they're just trying to stall so that way people forget, because I have a feeling they may know that there might be some kind of something else coming down the pipeline, and they know that people would be distracted with that, and then it'd just kind of get swept under the rug, and things will be forgotten and forgiven, and that's the way they've always done things. But it's up to us to make sure that we are trying to follow through with getting this information. And I think that as more and more people wake up, and this is an assassination attempt on the president, so I think that we have every right to understand what exactly is going on and how did this happen, because there's a lot of unanswered questions this far into or this far past the actual incident that we don't even have basic answers right now. And these are basic investigative questions. We should know exactly how many bullets. They should have them all dug up. They should have everybody's rifling on the barrels like matched or not matched against what they found. So that way they could put it all back together because, well, in the end, I've watched CSI and I can see that, yeah, they don't have all the cool whiz bang stuff that they have on TV, but they do have the ability to match bullets up with the pew pew seeds with the pew pews.
Hmm?
So
Freedom seeds.
these freedom seeds, well, and those weren't.
I know.
Those were,
I know. I know what you're saying.
yeah, swamp seeds.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
Normally,
Every generation complains about every other generation.
But wait, normally
Gen
people
X is right.
complain about Gen Z, but
Mhm.
this is part 1. I have part 2.
Really? All right.
Yes.
All right. You just gonna play them back to back?
I am.
All right.
You ready?
Yep.
Shout out to Brenda Brown. See, I knew she was good when Nick said he knew her from California. Anyway, this young woman is just off the chain. Not only is she beautiful, she's also smart. So you young single boys out here, don't be listening to Fresh and Fraud and all these people tell you all this crazy stuff. But anyway, young men, get a woman like this, that think like this, that act like this, and you will live long. Okay? All right, I got to play what she said because she's absolutely amazingly true or honest in the things that she said. And all these deranged people out here that still think they're going to vote for Kamala and still want a terrible America, she put all at the rest with the Gadsden flag and the We the People in the background. Roll the clip.
Please just give me a valid reason as to why they're voting for Kamala Harris. So far, the only two that I've heard is because she's a woman and she's black. I mean, from the exact same people that can't define what a woman is and who say not to judge people based off the color of their skin. Okay, thought we learned our lesson with Obama, but apparently not. Actually terrifying that this is the type of woman that people want as the president of the United States. They want a woman that's known for using her mouth to get to the positions that she's in. And I don't mean public speeches. But then again, based off the morals of the women of the left, not surprising. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against having a woman president, but I'm not going to vote for someone just because they've got a cooch. Especially one that is pro-defund the police and open border. Those are the same ones that say that Trump is trying to take down the democracy and you don't even realize what's happening in front of your own eyes. You now have a candidate that you did not vote for. This has never happened before. All you are is a puppet in their game. I thank you for your service of being a little social justice warrior for the past 4 years, but we don't want that anymore. You want a woman president so bad, sure that it's not one that's going to be a complete embarrassment to our country. When push comes to shove, it's not going to matter what's in her pants or the color of her skin. It's time that you start actually using your brain because we can't afford another 4 years of this. Have a good day.
If you thought that wasn't enough fire, this second one is my favorite. Like, it's so much common sense that even I'm shocked at the amount of common sense that's coming out.
So I'm going to play part 2
Mm-hmm.
because you really need to hear part 2.
Because you guys just ignore the fact that Trump is a convicted felon. Oh, kind of like how you guys ignored the fact that George Floyd was a felon. But okay, it just makes more sense because Trump has a lighter skin shade. In my last video, I asked for people to give me valid reasons as to why they're voting for Kamala Harris, and still haven't gotten one, actually. So just like we're supposedly just ignoring the fact that Trump's a convicted felon, I hope you know that you're also ignoring the fact that Kamala Harris was the California Attorney General that prosecuted 2 undercover journalists who exposed Planned Parenthood for selling aborted baby body parts.
Boom! Come on.
Protect Planned Parenthood, and the saddest part is that probably doesn't even bother half of you. Have you guys heard of Sean Tillman? Probably not, because that's the guy that was a repeat felon that was released from jail because of a bail fund endorsed by Kamala Harris, who then after being released went on to shoot and kill someone. So you're also ignoring the fact that she blatantly stated that all 18 to 24-year-olds are stupid, who also said that she agrees with getting rid of ICE, and her form of securing the border is politely asking people not to come. How about we go tell that to Laken Riley? Oh wait, you can't, because she was killed by an illegal alien. And I hope you'll realize how hard the left dug into Trump's personal past, saying that it would have an effect on the way that he ran the country. Oh, but we don't want to talk about the fact that Kamala Harris was sleeping with a 6-year-old mayor of San Francisco when she was in her 20s and somehow ended up with 2 very high up positions that she was not qualified for.
Willie Brown, that's who she talking about. She talking about Willie Brown. Play with me. Listen, if you think anything she says wrong, I'll make a whole nother video and prove it to you. That was Willie Brown she was talking about. And the prosecution and everything she's saying is 100% facts. All right, let's keep going. Keep cooking. She cooking. She cooking over the stove. Roll it.
Funny how that works. So yeah, I'm still waiting on my one good reason to vote for Kamala Harris.
It ain't none. Don't even worry about it. And I think people like us, conservatives, young women like that, people like Nick, the sidekick over here, we need to keep speaking out and telling the truth because they're trying to conjure up this momentum as if somehow Kamala Harris is the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's funny how their demeanor was down in the dumps when Joe Biden was in office, even though Kamala was the vice president. Now, all of a sudden, she's the candidate, and they're all, look at her. She's running such a fair and equal campaign. And she did a RuPaul thing that got almost 1 million views on my channel. One of her first commercial setups was RuPaul. America got to get sick of this stuff, man. It's just not going in the right direction. Quit getting gaslit and fooled by these people. They hate America. They're lying to you. And the young girl told y'all. She told you already. Go follow her on social media. Where's her link? We'll put her links in the description section. Her name again is Brenna Brown. Brenna Brown. Go follow Brenna Brown. Straight facts. See y'all on the next one.
Thoughts?
All right. Well, I was reading the comments there, and I noticed that he's got some people that stopped watching him.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he was supporting, where was it? F. Clan said, I used to watch Tatum's videos, but he jumped onto the DeSantis train and started talking trash about Trump. So F him. Yeah, I get it, but it doesn't mean that the information he isn't sharing isn't accurate. And that's kind of what we care about here more than anything. And we all recognize that people, change their minds. Hopefully he's changed his mind. Obviously he's, not going to support Kamala. It was great to hear her point all those things out. She got a couple of things wrong. But other than that, it was great to hear that. And I think that this is one of those things that's important. It's great to see these younger generations, especially Generation Z at this point in time, because they've been taken a beating by all the other generations for a long time. These kids there are still kids out there getting raised right, obviously. And that kid did a great job. She was spitting out a lot of facts and getting that information out there. And I think that that's truly important because it's the younger generation that's going to be more likely to bring the younger kids along. They need to see this. They need to see it before their parents' generation did, which would be the millennials, I guess. Because the millennials, they were the ones who kind of ushered in Obama. They were the first ones, oh, yay, Obama, blah, 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 blah. But they were also subject to all of the MK Ultra. They were also subject to the education / indoctrination system the way it is. And then Bethany says he's still exposing the corruption regardless of his beliefs. And I think that that's what's important in terms of getting, if you don't like what the people say, by all means, you don't have to continue. I'm not asking you to watch them other than, if we play the clip, take the information for what it's worth. Not all 100% accurate, but it was all very good information. And I find it to be a little bit encouraging because he does have a large base of viewers who do, spread some information and people try to share that. And I think that that's good as well. F. Clan says the issue for me was the talking trash about Trump and then coming back with a smile like nothing happened. And you know what? Yeah, I completely agree with you there. If he never said, okay, I kind of backed the wrong horse. I really do like Trump. I like these things about DeSantis. And if he never did that, that was kind of on him. But, we're all just trying to be authentically us. And that was, I guess, what he chose at that point in time. Nothing I could do about that one. But so long as he's still spitting the truth, that's what I care about.
Yeah. And I get it. Not a lot of people like him, but I have one more video that he put out of Peter Doocy, and it's really worth watching. So and it's 59 seconds. F. Clan, it's 59 seconds.
Just hang on for 59 seconds.
Look, y'all, it's just getting worse and worse for Kamala Harris. Jean-Pierre, is nothing you can say that's going to stop the truth from coming out. Thank you, Peter Doocy.
Democrats on Capitol Hill are being handed this card with talking points.
Democrats on Capitol Hill handed talking points. Let me tell you something. I've been doing political commentary for the last 5 or 6 years. I have never received anything like this from the Trump administration or from Republicans telling me, I wish I had something like this, telling me some talking points that I should say to help Donald Trump win the election?
About the vice president and the border, do you know who's handing this out?
I have no idea. You probably should ask her campaign.
So the first one says Vice President Harris was never appointed border czar. There's never been such a position. It doesn't exist. Why are Democrats so sensitive about the vice president and the border?
They're liars. They're flat out deceiving liars.
Thoughts, Santino?
I mean, they don't care about telling the truth at all.
No.
And you know what, F Clan, I have a feeling that that's where a lot of that stems from, and I agree with you. It makes your BS detector go off a little bit faster, and we are a lot more sensitive to people switching positions because that's the very thing that we just watch. I don't know what you're talking about. You'll have to talk to them. You're the press secretary, and he's talking about the border czar. Why are y'all erasing the fact that there was a border czar and that border czar was Kamala Harris? And so it does make it difficult at times to, see some of these people switch positions. I understand. But again, the information that we're sharing here is the best information we can get that's giving kind of a pulse as to the things that are going on around us. And, that's why it's important for each and every one of you to go out and do the things to spread the truth, to spread the information the way you know it. We are likely to be wrong on lots of things, and we will try to own up to everything that we're wrong on. But that doesn't mean that we're going to nail each and everything that we present. So, and I know we've been wrong on some things, a lot of things, probably. I mean, not like a ton, but whatever. We've been wrong on some things. But guess what? We're human. We don't have entire teams of people to do all the research, like the legacy media, which is what they're supposed to do, and that's why we deferred to them for so long. This is part of that awakening process where we all have to get sick and tired and fed up with the lack of decent information. And once we get the decent information, then we will start to feel a lot more comfortable about everything that's going on.
Exactly. How about some Kim Clement?
That sounds good to me.
He's talking about Harris.
But California, I'm looking at you. Gold, stone, California, a smaller statue. And God says, once you recognize the man that I have raised up, pray. For the enemy will do everything in his power to put a witch in the White House. Did anybody hear what he just said? For Jezebel has chased away the prophets and even Elijah. Now I have said, go back. For this shall be dismantled so that there will be no more corruption in the White House, says the Spirit.
Thoughts?
I love Kim Clement. He's and I remember this, and it's been in my head this whole time ever since I've heard it, that they're going to try to put Kamala in the White House, or I was thinking Hillary in the beginning, but obviously now it's pretty apparent that it's going to be Kamala Harris that they're going to try to put in the White House. But he says that they will not, and he says that that his anointed that he lifts up is going to clean out the White House after, geez, I mean, it all just kind of it flows along with everything that we've been seeing. And then that was back in what year?
2014.
2014, he was saying this. And it seems like all of these things are finally coming together now. And now that they're coming together, these are certainly appearing to be truthful prophecies, which means that the Holy Spirit was speaking through him, which means that more of the things that he says, we can, take a deep breath and kind of believe it a little bit more.
Yes, it was. We played that yesterday.
We did play that. I think that was what the trumpet Ezekiel. Yeah. Trump at 333 or 33.3, I think is what it 33.3, I think it is. And yeah, so we played that the cackling demon from
Cackling
Hinduism
witch.
or cackling, something, witch or something like that. And so yeah, I mean it makes sense to me. She certainly seems like a witchy woman to me, but what do I know?
Exactly.
All right. And then F. Clint says, ties in nicely with Kim. And it does tie in nicely. It's all coming together. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together. Really want to start watching a lot more of the Kim Clement, just to kind of see what else did he say that we can see and get kind of an idea as to what's coming down the road, other than the fact that it's all going to be cleared out. The corruption will be cleaned out. And that's what we should take stock and faith in.
So much of what he has said has come true already.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's, witchy woman.
Witchy woman. It happens.
I know. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm not going to keep messing with F. Clint on that one.
If God put a Goliath in front of you, he knows there's a David inside of you. See, while David was called to fight a great Philistine, Moses was called to go up against the king of Egypt. Joshua was called to crumble the walls of Jericho. Elijah was called to challenge 450 prophets of Baal. And Jesus was called to endure the cross and suffer for the sins of the world. But what's interesting is that before each of these men conquered the giants in front of them, first they had to conquer the giants within them. See, Moses struggled with self-doubt and insecurity. Elijah battled deep depression and fear. And Jesus, right before the cross, wrestled with distress and anguish to the point of sweating droplets of blood. Friends, what if your biggest enemies aren't the giants that surround you, but the giants that live within you? What if before getting the victory on the outside, God is calling you to get the victory on the inside? What if the victory in your mind is actually the pre-qualifier for the victory out in front of you? Because look, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
That's Santino.
We've said this on here lots of times. The battle is within. It's within your heart. It's within your head. That's where the battlefield truly is. It's within each and every one of you. If let's see, it's an old African proverb: if there's no enemy within, then there can be no enemy without. And that's what we need to remember. That's what we need to recognize, is that the enemy truly is within, because that's where the fear comes from. That's where the cynicism comes from. That's where the desire to give up comes from. It's all within. And we need to make sure that we persevere to the end, run the race as if you were going to win it. And that's what we need to do, is we need to keep running that race. No matter how tired you are, there's always a deep reserve within each and every one of you where you can persist even beyond the thought, even beyond any point where you thought that you could. And that is where the magic really happens, is when you keep pushing and you keep trying with that faith, with that confidence that you will prevail, that you will succeed. And that's something that we all need to keep in mind, especially in these trying times, because hearing all this stuff about Kamala, hearing all this stuff about the Secret Service, hearing all these things, where they're trying to, with Donald Trump, everything they've been throwing at Donald Trump. Imagine how he's feeling and how he's going through it. But at the same time, he knows that the battle is within him, and that's why he persists. So he is the standard with which we actually have to look at in this life with our very own eyes. It's not just Yeshua in the book and we have to feel it and understand it, but we do have an example that God has given us with which to follow. And that example is something that we should all keep in mind, because when you quit, all you've done is guaranteed that you've lost. But as long as you keep trying and as long as you never give up, then you've never lost. It's like the old story about fight one more round, you'll never be whipped. Don't throw in that towel.
So I have a video from Christian.
Christian.
Let's get to it.
All right.
Oversight Project is a division of the Heritage Foundation, and they released what may or may not be a blockbuster today. And Steve Baker is here to break down all of the details for us.
So here is the gist of what Oversight has discovered through their own tracking, is they were able to ping and identify about 9 different phones at the home of the shooter. And so they were able to identify which of those phones were then going to his place of business where he works at the nursing home. So after they identify that and make sure that they've got the right ID there for that, now they can track it everywhere else it goes. Well, they followed it to the fairgrounds there, Butler County. What they discovered was that this kid was basically doing recon at that site on July 4th and July 8th. So they were able to track him. But they also learned, and this is very interesting, so this tells us either how smart this kid is or something else, is that he turned his phone off after the 12th. But it gets better than that.
Oh, keep going.
Well, it does, because in the process of looking at all of these phones that visited his home and visited the nursing home where he worked, they found a phone that actually pinged 7 or 8 times in DC at a building called a Gallery Place, which has a very large footprint of FBI offices, and where source meetings and interviews regularly take place in the coffee shop of that particular building.
Okay, so right now we could just say it's circumstantial evidence, but if these are the phones that have been linked to Thomas Crooks and his family and everybody else in there, then this could potentially be something. But don't worry, you guys. The FBI is telling us that they are investigating the matter. We have nothing to fear, right, Steve?
Nothing at all. I mean, obviously, there are many, many non-nefarious reasons why somebody would be at that building in D.C., but it's very curious, and it's something that we are going to look at. As a matter of fact, Oversight Project has blessed us and given us the data on this so that we can apply our own resources to this as well and assist them in tracking this down.
There's some question about whether or not it's a bullet or shrapnel that that hit his ear.
Thoughts? And I have one more video about this kid.
Okay, so these are all things, yes, it's circumstantial, but it all points in one direction. And I have a feeling that as we continue to move forward, as we continue to find out, because from where I'm at and understanding the Q drops and all that other stuff, this is something that's been going on for quite some time. There have been many things that have shown that Q is accurate and that they've been telling the truth. And some of their deltas have proven that what they were saying was planned and that it's going to happen and that it's, moving forward. So these are one of those things where we have to understand that this is a giant sting operation. This would also help explain why the marshals were holding on to Nancy Pelosi, telling her not to say, or no, it wasn't Nancy Pelosi. It was it Nancy? Don't say anything. It was
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. And Vice President's daughter, Cheney's daughter. Liz Cheney. Yeah, it was when those two were having a conversation. Things even way back then that were out of place. Biden, the many faces of Biden, the many faces of what's his face out there in Pennsylvania.
Short Biden, tall Biden. Oh,
Yeah.
Fetterman.
All the faces of Fetterman.
Yeah.
So this tells me that the investigation is ongoing and that they are getting probably the sneakiest of the sneakiest at this point in time, and the people who probably had a lot of power in trying to make this happen. And I would say that individuals at a certain bureau that may or may not investigate things, look, if you were corrupt, wouldn't you want to go to the place where you know that you're going to have a large amount of control and understanding as to the way everything works? Wouldn't surprise me. And if people are susceptible to corruption, I would guarantee that that would happen at a place like that. That's, they even had their director of counterintelligence get wrapped up in something there once upon a time. There was a whole movie about it. So corruption will happen, but I have a feeling that the corruption is going to be going away. It looks bleak right now, but that little breadcrumb there is going to lead to a lot of real information about who's doing what over there in DC.
Exactly. So here's some more information about crooks.
All right.
All right, check this out because the rabbit hole about Thomas Crooks just keeps getting deeper and deeper. And by now, everyone already knows that Thomas Crooks was in a BlackRock commercial, which is already strange enough. Why does BlackRock need a commercial anyways? But the photo you're about to see puts things into a whole new perspective. This is leaked surveillance footage of Thomas Crooks and a man in a suit with a bald head. Now, if you know anything about BlackRock, before you see this next part, take a guess of who that man actually looks like. That guy looks almost identical to Larry Fink. Larry Fink is the CEO of BlackRock. Take a good look at this picture here and let me know if you think these guys are pretty similar. This picture here and this picture here. Now, it hasn't been completely confirmed that that is Larry Fink, but it almost looks too similar to say that it's not. And the fact that he's with Crooks just puts all the pieces together. They even checked it with an AI Photoshop software that tells them if it's real or fake, and it completely passed all the tests. So the image is an AI and it's not Photoshopped. I'm going to take a guess and say that it actually is him. Now, we also know Larry Fink has an apartment in Manhattan not too far from the FBI office, which is one of the locations of one of the phones found at Thomas Crooks' homes that was traveling to and from. They also found on one of his phones that he had been doing recon at the site on July 4th and July 8th. But what's crazy is they actually found 9 phones at Crooks' home. What kind of house has 9 working cell phones in it? Phones that he had used just days before. In this day and age, if there anything was actually sketchy about the whole situation, it's going to be very hard for them to hide and cover up. A lot of people are even saying that his sister might know more than she's actually saying. Unlike JFK, which made it very easy to cover up, we have all the means to figure out what actually happened at the Trump rally. Drop a like and let me know what you think about this whole situation.
Thoughts?
Well, first, Jan says, was Fink the man in the gray suit getting pictures at the scene? I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I
I'd have to
don't.
go back and
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not going to give you an answer one way or another. You're going to have to get your own answer on that one. There, now you have a new song in your head. All right. So I don't understand. His sister's a dude. That's a possibility. And at this point, what difference does it make, F. Clen? Do we really know? Who knows anymore? Yeah, just see Victoria's Secret and then cry about that whole thing. That half of them are dudes. But anyways, I can't imagine that Larry Fink would be so hands-on and trying to recruit somebody that would be doing something like that. And I have a feeling that somebody like Larry Fink is also going to be able to tell the difference between somebody who can get it done and somebody who can't get it done. And I can't imagine that he would just take some rando that shot a lot on targets and stuff like that. I would assume that there would be a better pool of potential assassins. And then why have a picture with you and an assassin when you have all of these cronies to do things for you when you're like the creator of BlackRock? It doesn't make sense to me. But at the same time, hey, Fire and 8, welcome back. It doesn't make sense to me, but that doesn't mean that the stupidity knows no bounds. And that their evil nature, being as egotistical as it is, they might feel that they can get away with stuff like that. And he brought up a good point. Why does BlackRock need an advertisement? What
why
do
do
they
they need a commercial?
Yeah, I that doesn't make sense to me either. There's so much stuff that doesn't make sense in terms of what should make sense. They're doing the exact opposite of that. But hey, it's working out in our favor, so rejoice because we're finding out more and more information, and this is the kind of stuff that's going to take down the whole disease corrupt system.
I think the young man was a cover for the real shooter. Just my opinion. I agree with you, Jan.
That's a
I believe
possibility,
that.
but he took the first shot. We understand that, and it was terrifyingly close.
Yeah.
Terrifyingly close. Had Trump not just twitched his head that fast, then it'd be a very, very different story at this point in time. Yeah, but at the same time, I think that there was another one because just his positioning, everything about him, it all says Patsy. Everything about him says Patsy. So if there is a Patsy, then why wasn't there? Why don't we see more information about the other? Like the guy on the tower. But then again, that's why we're not hearing about the tower.
Exactly.
It's all a distraction. So it tells us that we're not getting the whole truth up to this point.
No, we're not.
Hopefully we
And-
will.
And you mentioned, people getting dumber. Well, Sassy wants to know, are libs getting dumber? Here we
Earmuffs.
go.
God bless. Somebody riddle me this. Are liberals getting stupider or is it just me? I am as serious as a bloody heart attack. Democrats putting the dim in dim-witted. The entire gaggle of y'all could not put your brains together and spark up a lightning bug's eyes. For the last humans on earth, world would recede into eternal darkness. How not bright you is. God. Joe Biden come out yesterday with one of his 13 faces and 27 personalities. Announce all that bullshit about term limits. Those Democrats are big mad that they don't have the majority for the Supreme Court. Oh, now liberals think they real bright, calling out Republicans because they mad that we mad about the term limits. And they think they done something. Oh my God, you fools. Yes, we want term limits. Everyone needs term limits. You mistake us for being as stupid as you. I know you all are confused. You're born that way. Let me waste yet another day explaining it to you. Now, I know you purple-headed, degenerate Teletubbies have one friend and they won't tell you the truth about shit. They're only friends with you because you have that handicapped parking sticker in your rearview mirror. Well, let me break it down. We know you cannot see the hypocrisy within your own party. You never do. That's why you vote liberal. You stay blinded by the Biden bullshit. The reason conservatives are upset about what Biden said, it's not that we don't want term limits for people. We do. You don't see the irony in a 50-year career politician who's mad because he didn't get his way to stick babies in a blender at your earliest convenience. And after 50 years of doing nothing, such as a typical Democrat, in office, on his way out the door, doing the tennis ball shuffle, he only wants term limits for the one branch of government that stands in his way. You can't say that. Of course you can. This is the reason why they say a Democrat with an IQ of 150 is a fucking threesome. Term limits on everything else, including Congress, before the Supreme Court. Fucking period.
Yes.
Thoughts?
There it is. Okay, I was waiting.
And Bethany, did you really say the S word? Get her, Jenny. Get her.
Get her, Jenny. Get her. What a day.
I know.
So, okay. Thank you, Bethany. We had a bot. Bethany took care of him. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so I think a lot of y'all know how I feel about term limits. I don't believe in them. I think it's the absolute worst thing. I think that if we had term limits, then that would have prevented Senator Kennedy's from being there. That would have prevented Senator Rand Paul's from being there. Name the list of people that have been extremely helpful that could have been booted out had we had term limits. And that's exactly why we don't have term limits, because we need some of the, there will always be good people that manage to get in place. Ron Paul was in his spot for a long time, and he was trying to tell the truth. Just because people weren't ready to wake up doesn't mean that Ron Paul wasn't trying to tell people the truth. And so I think it's imperative that we do not do term limits. But the real answer is to make our congressmen and senators, the senators need to be, they need to be able to answer to the state the way it was originally written. So we need to get rid of the popular election of senators. That would be the 17th Amendment. And then we also need to make sure that our Congress people have a constituency of something where they can be held responsible for the actions that they do. There's too few congressmen, and none of them have any direct accountability because it's all shucked off on all of these unelected government employees that are there, by political appointment that cause all of these problems. Those are the things we need to get rid of. And we will start to see them go away now that the Chevron deference has happened. And that will put a lot more honesty back in the system. And it will make sure that people are held personally accountable. It's the lack of personal accountability that has been our biggest problem with the swamp being able to do the things that it can do. And I'm going to harp on it again. 30-1000.org. It is a brilliant concept that was brought up by the founding fathers. And here's that 30,000.org. I'm going to go ahead and try to share that with y'all here. There we go. And so, and this was actually Amendment the First. This was actually supposed to be the First Amendment, but it never got passed because there's a mathematical error, which would have made it so that way it wouldn't have worked properly. But if you look at the way things were, and America was at its best point when the Congress had a much smaller constituency that they had to answer to. Yeah, and clearly the tar and feathers was a great mind changer and influencer back in the late 18th century. So yeah, maybe tar and feathers might help too. We'll have to put that in the docket and see if we can get away with that one, F. Clint. Low melting point tar. Well, because we're humane now. Yeah, good point.
There you go. Are you ready?
Thank you, Fire Nate. Yes.
Why are you wearing a cross on your neck?
Because I don't see a cross as religious. So
Okay. Just like you don't see a marriage as religious. So
I don't think that a marriage
have a meaning. This is why it's like we're at a stage people are like, what is a woman? Because they just go, well, we're going to call it a marriage, but we're going to sleep with other people. We're going to bring in we're going to outsource raising the kids, or we're never going to have kids. You're calling it a family. It's not a family. And this is what it is. The words have no meaning, right? I'm wearing the cross. Why? I don't know. I don't think of it as religious. Okay. Well, Jesus Christ died on the cross.
You think that.
That's what you think.
Wait, it's been proven.
You think. So why are you wearing the cross?
Because I think it's cute.
You just think that the design is cute.
Yeah.
Better
Wait, I grew up Catholic. I was religious, and I'm not anymore. I don't have to believe in what you believe, and I can say that if
I didn't say you had to believe. I asked you a question.
But you're
why are
telling
you
me,
wearing the cross?
Okay, and you're saying that the religious aspect of marriage is the only thing that matters. It's not, because people don't follow what you believe.
Yeah. Okay, I asked you why you're wearing the cross, and you said because you thought it was cute.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got an answer. She's wearing the cross around her neck because she thinks it's cute.
Having
Would you wear like a
respect and
yarmulke?
tolerance.
It's
So
like
I'm
cute.
just like wondering if you
I'm
think
asking if you wear a yarmulke. That's
I think those are very different
are you talking
things.
like
Why is the
blasphemy?
cross
I'm
different from the yarmulke?
I'm just. I mean, I was raised Catholic, and that's just
Would
not
you
something
wear
that
a
I believe
yarmulke
anymore.
if you thought it was cute?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, a yarmulke is completely different than No, a cross it's that's been
not.
adapted
It's
into
not.
different.
Thoughts?
Well, I think that it was a very good point to bring up. She thinks it's cute. Isn't that special? But at the same time, the Bible kind of says that we should make no images, and that includes crosses. Take that however you will. But I don't believe that wearing jewelry of any kind it's like I will say that growing up Catholic, that was kind of one of the things that they talked about. You don't wear the rosary beads. You're supposed to pray with them. You don't wear the cross. That was something that was actually brought up. So I mean, I understand where Candace is coming from, but at the same time, the other gal's argument was absolute trash. But it also shows where we have gotten to as a society and how far away we've come. That the conversation is about somebody wearing a cross because it's cute. That to me, it's appalling, and I find it offensive. But how far does the left actually care about conservatives and people with traditional values? How much do they actually care about people being offended when it really comes down to it?
Exactly.
Only if it's something that they can yell at other people about, because they're special little snowflakes.
I know.
Yeah.
So
It's not going to end well for her.
No. So I have debated about whether I want to play this video for the whole time we've been on the air.
Really?
And since I found it this morning. But
Okay.
I think it's super important that we do play it.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna
Why don't we
go
just
ahead.
jump right into it?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, deranged depopulationist Bill Gates, a confirmed psychopath.
You ready?
Yeah.
That Bill Gates was born into wealth and privilege. Both his grandfather and great-grandfather were banking moguls. His father, William Gates Sr., was a prominent Seattle-based lawyer and political lobbyist. Through his father, Bill Gates learned the ins and outs of law and politics and how to manipulate those governing forces.
I'm Bill Gates, chairman of Microsoft.
Bill Gates dropped out of college to start Microsoft. He is credited with inventing the operating system that became Windows. However, he played no part in the invention of Windows. The fact is, He bought an existing operating system from Seattle Computer Products, had it modified, then licensed it to IBM. That didn't stop him from taking all the credit.
I don't see Bill Gates as this great creative person. I see him as an opportunist.
While Microsoft's co-founder Paul Allen was struggling with cancer, Bill Gates seized the opportunity by attempting to cheat him out of his share of the company's fortune.
They were basically talking about how they were planning to dilute my share down to almost nothing. And it was really a shocking and disheartening moment for me.
He was sick.
I think I was still probably in the middle of radiation therapy.
Gates' business strategies came under fire in 1998 when the United States Department of Justice sued Microsoft for antitrust violations.
This is tape 3 of the videotape deposition of Bill Gates on September.
During the 18-month trial, Gates gave hours of videotape testimony.
What were the non-Microsoft browsers that you were concerned about in January of 1996?
That month.
Yes, sir.
And what about it?
What non-Microsoft browsers were you concerned about in January of 1996?
I don't know what you mean concerned.
What is it about the word concerned that you don't understand?
I'm not sure what you mean by it.
The Justice Department has charged Microsoft with engaging in anti-competitive and exclusionary practices designed to maintain its monopoly in personal computer operating systems.
In a move to overshadow the negative press, Gates invested $100 million to set up the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Overnight, Bill Gates transformed his public image from ruthless tech monopolizer to the world's most generous philanthropist.
I'm pleased to announce that we're pledging an additional $1 billion
We had the chance to witness Bill Gates 2.0, the man you don't know.
The rebranding campaign paid off. His net worth swiftly doubled, earning Bill Gates the title of richest man in the world.
You've invested $10 billion in vaccinations over the last 2 decades, and you figured out the return on investment for that. And it kind of stunned me. Can you walk us through the math?
In a Wall Street essay, Bill Gates declared vaccines the best investment I've ever made.
There's been over a 20-to-1 return. So if you just look at the economic benefits, that's a pretty strong number compared to anything else.
The Gates Foundation expanded rapidly into a massive, vertically integrated, multinational corporation, controlling every step in a supply chain that reaches from its Seattle-based boardrooms to the villages of Africa and Asia.
Is the world's largest private philanthropy causing harm? The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has made millions of dollars each year from companies blamed for many of the same social and health problems the foundation seeks to address. The Gates Foundation has investments in 69 of the worst polluting companies in the U.S. and Canada. Other companies in the foundation's portfolio have been accused of transgressions, including forcing thousands of people to lose their homes, supporting child labor, defrauding and neglecting patients in need of medical care. The Gates Foundation has not provided details.
William H. Gates III and Melinda French Gates.
As a top donor to both the WHO and the CDC, no one man has more power than Bill Gates to influence and control the health and medical freedom of all people.
Normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
This will be the new normal until a vaccine is developed.
Until we find a vaccine, going back to normal means putting lives at risk.
We need to produce it and to deploy it in every single corner of the world.
Full vaccination of our children and pregnant women.
Development of new vaccines, therapeutics and diagnostics.
For effective vaccines and therapeutics are developed.
We've already bought the syringes. We already know where it's going to happen. We're thinking about what that's going to be. It's all part of this plan.
Our military is now being mobilized, so at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly.
In 1986, President Ronald Reagan signed the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, granting total immunity to vaccine manufacturers. After a decade of lawsuits related to vaccine injuries and deaths, vaccine makers were going bankrupt. In a move to coerce policymakers, vaccine companies threatened to stop making vaccines until they could be legally shielded from liability. To this day, when someone is injured or killed as the result of an adverse reaction, it is the U.S. taxpayers that pay for the damages.
Welcome back. Were several Indian tribal girls used as guinea pigs? The report alleges that 2 American pharma giants' untested vaccine was administered to thousands of tribal girls without proper study and paperwork.
India was among the hardest hit after Bollywood celebrities were incentivized by the Gates Foundation to urge the public to submit to mass vaccinations. In 2009, tribal children were administered the HPV vaccine. Over 24,000 girls were told they were being given wellness shots, in many cases without the informed consent of a parent or a guardian.
The people that were administering these vaccines lied to the guardians of these girls and told the girls, oh, this is going to cure cancer. You're never going to have cancer. And these girls became severely injured. Some of them developed seizures. Some of them developed cancer. And 7 girls died. And there was no insurance. There was no assistance for them. And the Gates Foundation denied that it had been clinical trials. And it was so bad that the parliament in India created a task force. They studied it and they kicked out the Gates Foundation.
But India is a barbaric country. Things happen here in a very barbaric way. But I was surprised to find an American organization operating in broad daylight, doing things in a very, very, let's say, Indian fashion. And so the route I took was that I want the whole procedure to be investigated. The Indian Parliament formed a committee, and it was to me a rather surprising move because you generally don't often have such a high-level inquiry into matters affecting poor people. And that was such an extraordinary report. I don't think Indian Parliament has ever come out with such a scathing report. And the government officials came up and said, we shouldn't have authorized this. We're sorry. We're not going to allow them again. And now they're back doing their same old tricks again.
The good news is that human clinical trials can start as early as July 2020 for India's first COVID-19 indigenous vaccine that's been developed by Bharat Biotech.
So you can imagine how the manipulation of the media, by the media, the manipulation of public opinion by leaders from all political parties unanimously saying, we want a vaccine. And the worst thing is they are taken as philanthropists. Whereas what this actually is the acquisition of political and financial power. And I think the second most populous country with 1.3 billion people is going to be a good base for pharmaceutical companies to make a killing and also kill a lot of people in the process. Yes, I just find it a pity that we haven't been able to get any benefit for the girls who suffered, you know. It's so terrifying as to what they're actually doing with the world.
We're taking things that are, genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
A 2018 scientific study released in the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health concluded that over 490,000 children in India developed paralysis as a result of the Gates-supported oral polio vaccine that was administered between the years of 2000 and 2017. Using all the usual sleight of hand, US-based media and fact-checkers rushed to bury the story. But thanks to the meticulous work of a team of Indian researchers and doctors, the inconvenient truth lives on the NIH.gov website.
It's my honor to introduce Bill and Melinda Gates.
Without any medical training, Bill and Melinda Gates founded the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, through which they fulfill their agenda to vaccinate the world. The foundation has been sued by the governments of some of the poorest and most vulnerable nations for causing serious harm through experimental vaccine programs.
If you just look at healthcare workers around the world, they deserve to get the vaccine first. You know, here in the United States, really, it's going to be Black people who really should get it first, and many Indigenous people.
Vaccines were always taught to us that it was safe, it was healthy. This is things that we had to do. But given the position that I am in now as a state legislator, and looking at these studies and reviewing a lot of these studies, it's very scary. And I want the African American community to open up their eyes.
Of all the places that Mr. Gates could have gone in the world, why did he settle on Africa? It's not because he cares about people that look like me. He cares about an agenda.
African bodies have been used as lab rats for many years for Big Pharma.
They are using us for trials, they are using us for testing, but as an African, I say no more.
Africans, they're tired of becoming the guinea pigs of the world. Their antennas are raised and they're telling each other all over social media. They're on high alert right now.
There is a policy of the American government. It's called the Kissinger Report, which was produced in the mid-70s. And it explicitly states that the purpose of the foreign policy in Africa was to reduce the population because they have great mineral resources there. At the time, Kissinger and those involved with the Carter administration wanted to shrink the population, make sure that the Africans do not develop and do not use the resources for themselves, because we in the States, we need them. There is a concerted effort of foreign powers to control the population of Africa.
Some children did survive the botched vaccinations last month and will recover, but 15, all under the age of 5, died from fever, vomiting, and diarrhea.
Human errors contributed to the unfortunate deaths of the children.
How can you believe Big Pharma, but not believe these parents when they tell you that their children have been injured by Big Pharma? I don't care how big this corporate machine looks. As a parent, I can tell you, these people will never stop fighting for their kids.
Thoughts?
It's so aggravating, and it's been a long time since we've talked about Bill Gates on here, like a long time, for real. It is a tough video. Kay said, I know this video is tough, but we need to get this out. And this is information that needs to be out, and especially with them trying to push the next round of whatever crap they're trying to push on everybody. And I think it'll be a little bit easier to get people to recognize, especially with all the bad news that came out about the jibber jabbers that they tried to push on everybody before. And people should be a lot more confident and forceful with their I guess expression that they will not be taking these whatever it is that they're trying to push on people. There's too many things. I'm pretty sure that kids nowadays get more jabs of various kinds than I got when I first went in the military, and it's reduced. It was, it was lower then, and that's when you're going in the military. They're giving you all sorts of crap when you're going in. Now everything is experimental, and they just push it on people, despite what it does. And I think that that's important. That was brought up about the jabs and the whole Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation of all of the people who have been unalived, all of the people who lost mobility, all of the people who lost control over their body. These are things that have been going on. And I had no idea about the whole Ronald Reagan signed in the act that made it so that way the big pharma couldn't get sued. And I think that this is going to be one of those things where big pharma needs to go away in general. If you're a chemist, then you should be working locally and working for the town that you're in, making stuff like they did back in It's a Wonderful Life kind of movie. Where you just go to the chemist and he mixes the things right there, because having big organizations with billions and billions of dollars behind them, obviously owned by World Economic Forum or at least BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, et cetera, Megacorp. Megacorp owns most of those things anyways. This is not in our best interest. Everything has to change, and people have to be exposed to this, and people have to be willing to accept this information. And that can be one of the difficult things. F. Clint says, was that before or after getting the jab? Okay, so.
No, Reagan. Pew-pewed.
Oh.
Did he sign it before or after?
I don't, I have no idea, F. Clint. That's a
great question.
That's a great question. And that would be interesting to find out. Let's see. Oh, and if y'all are having problems with Rumble, just refresh. A lot of the times that takes care of the problems. Rick Tick.
Hey, Carol.
Hey, Carol. Thanks for joining us. Anyways, it's great information. And if you haven't heard more about how the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has been instrumental in this, and we didn't even go over the fact that it was talked about in the comments here about Bill's probably a dude and Melinda's or Bill's probably a chick and Melinda's probably a dude, but there's a lot of speculation that Melinda that was in one of those videos where she was talking was quite possibly Kevin Kline, because she looks strikingly similar to Kevin Kline when he was dressed up in drag in the movie Wild Wild West. And there's a lot of great side-by-side pictures. As a matter of fact, you could probably just do a quick Google search, Kevin Kline and Melinda Gates, and then the side-by-side picture will probably pop up.
Read what Tammy just said.
Tammy says, my kids only had to get 5 jabs. We had traveled to Germany several times with the military. Now my great grandkids and great grandkids have to get 97.
97.
How on earth did we make it as a species without all of these things beforehand? And I think that that's the level of logic and reason that we're going to be going back to. That is the important point, is we didn't need all of this stuff before. Why do we need it now? Also, keep in mind that Bill Gates is the one pushing that appeal crap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
it's his company.
Yeah, he bought it, and then and now they're putting it in the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. That's why we're making our own vinegar now.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, so far so good.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Which makes Iowa the 22nd state in our country to have a Trump abortion ban.
All right, I'm going to give you all a fact that neither Democrats nor Republicans want to point out. Right now, a woman can have an elective abortion in every single state in the country. This is something that Republicans don't want to point out because they don't want to encourage people to do it. And it's something Democrats don't want to point out because they want to fearmonger. Now, Kamala Harris is correct in the fact that there are 22 states who have passed some kind of restrictions on abortion, but in every single state in this country, a woman can order an abortion pill herself and she can take an abortion pill herself. There is not a single state where that's illegal. Now, in some states, it is illegal to have a doctor do that for you. In some states, it is illegal to have a doctor administer it to you. But in every single state in the union, a woman can do that herself. She can order the abortion pill. She can take the abortion pill, and she did not violate any law. Republicans, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to encourage this, but we have to stop letting the Democrats fearmonger on this. And secondly, let me address what she says at the end of her video.
I'm going to tell you something. When I am president of the United States, I will sign into law the protections for reproductive freedom.
No, you won't, because the Supreme Court has already told you that's not constitutional. Like, I love how the party that's going to save democracy just ignores the Supreme Court. Like the bullshit Biden said in a speech today, which I'm going to address in a later video. But the Supreme Court has made it very clear that the federal government cannot make a law regarding abortion. Not only does that mean that you can't make a law making it legal in every state, but it also means that all that fear mongering you're doing about Trump having a national abortion ban, yeah, he can't fucking do that either. Because the Supreme Court didn't rule that abortion was bad. So whether it's you trying to make a law that makes it legal or somebody else trying to make a law that makes it illegal, none of that is going to fly. So Miss VP, can we actually talk about a topic that you'd actually be able to do something on?
Thoughts?
We had a pretty extensive conversation about the whole abortion rights thing. It's up to the states and how the states want to do it. And like he said, in all 50 states, you can, if you want to murder that thing, go right ahead. You can buy a pill online and it'll be just fine. And your life will not be as great as you thought. But it's kind of a distraction from everything that's going on. It's a hot button topic that gets people distracted a lot of the time. And I don't think that we need that distraction at this point. I think that after the Supreme Court ruling, I firmly believe that it needs to sit on the shelf for a while because we got plenty of other crap that we got to worry about more so than that right now.
Amen. You ready?
Yep.
I got Sean Ryan and Jim Caviezel.
All right.
I just found faith a couple months ago. I grew up a Catholic, and when I joined the SEAL teams and some of the things that I saw just destroyed my faith for the better part of 20 years.
That you saw in the SEAL teams or that you saw in your faith?
In the SEAL teams.
Okay.
And that just carried on until literally a couple months ago. I had a pretty profound incident. The way I describe it is everywhere I looked, I hated what I saw, and I started vocalizing it. And we'd had a discussion just before filming about this, but it was just everything. It was the stuff that I'm seeing happening to children, the pedophilia, the surgeries, the puberty blockers, the abortions, all of it, and everything else that's encompassing our country right now and the world. And when I started vocalizing it, I hit a point. There was a day where God showed up, and instead of everywhere I looked, what I hated, everywhere I looked, he was right there talking to me. And literally, I had 5 or 6 different things happen within 48 hours, and it was incredible.
Faith of a mustard seed.
Faith of a mustard seed. It's Sean Ryan coming to God is probably a great thing for so many people. He's not shy about talking about it, and I think that that's a great thing. It's helping other people wake up. It's helping the guys who believe not believe, that's probably the wrong word. The people who follow the SEALs and the special forces and stuff like that. It's encouraging. Exactly, Fire Nate. It's encouraging to see somebody that lived that lifestyle at the highest levels, I guess. I think that that's something that will help many people realize it's okay to believe in God. And more of these people, the names that people are starting to follow are finding God. And that's what's going to fix this thing more and more every day. And we've talked about Sean Ryan. We showed his baptism that he shared with everybody as well. But I think that these people are great influencers, and it's going to make everything better for all of us. Hey, Denise, thanks for showing up. Anyway. All right.
You ready?
Yep. Operation Mockingbird. Brett Weinberg
was the prize.
Uh-oh.
I'm struggling. One second.
All right.
Please.
Project Mockingbird was the project of the deep state to control us via the media. But it worked much better in an era where there were 3 broadcast networks. You didn't have to control that many properties. The reason that the narrative broke was because Goliath was focused on controlling the mainstream media properties, and it didn't think it had to care about the off Joe Rogan man cave stuff. Why should it care what a podcast was? Who cares what gets said on pirate radio, right? But that mattered a lot because people, when they realized they were being lied to and they were doing harm to themselves because of those lies, tuned out the mainstream media and they started searching for information elsewhere. The punchline is, if you want to beat the deep state, what you need to do is you need to drag Goliath onto territory he doesn't understand. That's where we win.
Thoughts?
And that's probably the most beautiful thing about all of this is Goliath doesn't know how to use that stuff. It's a typical story. It's played out in American business every single day, where some young new upstart company manages to beat the big guys because they're light and nimble and they can adjust to the market. It helped Tesla for a long time. But now they seem to be more of one of the big lumbering kind of companies, car manufacturers. So there's a lot out there where things that the disruptions can happen in so many places. And that's why they're having a difficult time. Think about all of the platforms where people talk. We broadcast on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different platforms. And I'm sure that there's more out there.
Now.
And
Not,
so
and I'm not just saying
not just us. Yeah.
Podcasters.
Right. Podcasters are the news now. And that's because people recognized that they were being lied to. And even conservatives were saying, you know, Fox News, it's the best that I got, but that's the problem, is it was the best that people had. But now more and more people are speaking up, and this gives the opportunity out there for the truth to really get out there and people to actually find out what's really going on in the background. And now it's too late. Now it's too late. They can't put the genie back in the bottle. They can't close the internet back up without shutting the whole power grid off, basically, because it's not that hard to set back up again. It won't be long before people figure out how to use a phone modem the way that they did back in the 80s when this whole thing started. But that would also explain why they want to get rid of landlines and lead paint and all that other crap. But that's a whole different story altogether. So, you know, keep spreading the information. It's little brush fires of freedom all over the place, each and every one of you. That's what they can't stop. And that is what's making the biggest difference, is it's each and every one of you going out there and spreading the truth the best way you know how. Chachi says they got rid of terrestrial radio and TV at the same time. They didn't account for the internet. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly. Great point. Thank you, Chachi.
Yep. So I got a video from Doc. We got to read it.
All right.
And remember, Doc
will be here Thursday.
Woot,
woot. We're excited to see Doc.
Yep.
Hope y'all join us on Thursday, because that'll be a great time.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah. MAGA claims victory as Biden drops out of the 2024 race, which nearly guarantees Trump's victory. And it disappeared.
Oh.
Oops. Thank you. Well, we have technical difficulties. The left and deep state actors panic as Kamala struggles to convince voters. Convince voters? She can't even convince herself. The deep state is falling apart. Trump vows to go after all deep state actors and all those responsible for treason over the past 8 years. Get your popcorn ready.
You weigh less than 200 pounds right now. I'm mandating that you start a bulk.
The show has just begun. Trump 2024, Make America Great Again. All right. Well, we know where Doc stands on a lot of this stuff. Truly excited to have him on. Really excited about that. Yeah, super stoked about that one.
No, I'm so super excited. I know you guys are gonna really
We didn't even get to see Doc. I feel kind of disappointed.
I know.
He followed you back. That's awesome. That's awesome, Jenny. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. I know all of y'all are going to love him.
Yep. Are you ready?
Yep.
What's the difference between a hero and a coward? There ain't no difference. Inside, they're both exactly alike. Both scared of dying or getting hurt. But it's what the hero does that makes him a hero. It's what the other guy doesn't do that makes him a coward.
All right, Santino.
George C. Scott. That was a clip from a movie about Tyson. That was Gus Customato, who was his original trainer before King got involved with him, but whatever, different thing altogether. So the difference between a coward and a hero, I will say that each and every time that each one of you goes out there and you tell the truth to somebody, that is an act of a hero. Because you put yourself out there. You put yourself out there for ridicule. You put yourself out there to be ostracized from society, those around you. We were talking about the jibber jabber earlier, and how family members were pressuring people to do things that we knew were counter to our best interest or the interest of their children. And each one of those moments where people stuck to what they knew to be true and what they knew to be right was the act of a hero. And so once the dust settles from all of this, a lot of people will recognize that they were not heroes in this because they just went along with the party line. They went along with the information that was provided to them on a daily basis from the television. But the good thing is that more and more people are waking up from the sleep and the slumber that they've been in. They're not being the zombies anymore. They're now waking up from that, and they're recognizing that they need to speak up too. And as people wake up, it makes it a better situation for each and every one of us. And they need to be the heroes now too by speaking truth to people who don't want to hear that. We understand that people can be very, very terrified and afraid of the truth. And that's why they lash out the way they do and why they cry uncontrollably because Joe Biden dropped out of the race. Like, you couldn't see that one coming. But, that's another thing altogether. But Joe Biden wouldn't have dropped out of the race if people weren't doing the heroic thing and going out there and spreading the truth. So I'm proud of each and every one of you for putting up with the things that you've put up with. I'm proud of each and every one of you for going out there and speaking truth to authority around you to make sure that you were heard, despite the fact that nobody wanted to hear what you had to say. One man with courage is a majority. And that is something that we all need to recognize and understand, that once you have that courage, despite the negative things that can happen to you, you might lose your job, but we have faith that everything will work out. Kay and I made that very decision when it came time. Either get this jibber jabber or lose your job. All right, see ya. And you know what? We've been taken care of. We've been taken care of by divine intervention because we took that leap of faith, because we recognized that God had given us that natural immunity. And so I know that each one of you have your own story of courage, and rejoice in that and continue on with that, despite how difficult things may be right now, or despite how difficult they may be in the future. You stick to what you know is right and true. Be that hero, because it's going to take a country full of heroes to get this thing back to the way that it needs to be. And we need to keep driving for the truth. After they tell us it's done, we know that there will still be more. And we know that we will have to continue to watch out for what's in our best interests as citizens of this nation, as opposed to subjects to the monarchy that they thought that we were under. So again, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And I want to thank you all for joining us here today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net. Aaron says, today sucks, Santino, and you're a hell of a pep talker and leader. Thank you. And thank you.
Yes. And just remember, we love each and every one of you. And even though I'm going to ask, I don't really care, but I care.
Ish. Whatever. You get the point.
But if you haven't already, please give me that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble and YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're on Pill, go ahead and take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart and just know that no matter what, when you're having a bad day, when you're having a good day, we're all here for you. And Aaron, we love you. Each and every one of us loves you. And I hope you know that you are very valued here as part of the family. And I appreciate each and every one of you. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart.
Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. And don't forget, we'll see Doc on Thursday as well. All right. We love you all. Have a great night. God bless and be safe.